So here it is, our review of the Navitel RC2 Dual Dash Cam. Navitel were kind enough to send us the RC2 Dual Dash Cam for review, so let's get stuck in. The main features are listed on this side of the box, and as we spin it round, on the other side of the box are some benefits and a picture of the camera. And on the underside of the box here, we have the contents listed in 6 languages. So let's open the box and see what greets us inside. On opening the box, I've just noticed this. It says, "Thank you for choosing Navitel." Fair enough. Right, let's get stuck in. Now, this looks like it's going to be the main camera, and this one, a bit more fiddly to get out. This one appears to be the rear cam. Just remove the packaging. Underneath, we're greeted by the various cables, and we've got a suction mount by the look of that, and that's the power cord. We've got the linking cable for front to rear camera, and documentation, user manual, and warranty card. Everything you need. Warranty cards available in various languages, and fill in your specific details like serial number on the front. Keep that handy. User manual, again available in all of these languages. And inside it gives you all of the breakdown for all of the various buttons and what all the functions are, all laid out nicely and neatly. So the RC2 Dual itself, let's get this out of the bag for you. Quite a compact little dash cam, to be honest. The camera gives you 1920 by 1080 full HD with a 140-degree field of view. On the back of the unit is the 2-inch TFT display and all of the control buttons, which are mode, menu, OK, up and down. On the top of the unit you have the 5-volt input, the mount, and the connection to the rear camera. On the underside you have the microphone, the reset button, and the SD card slot for a 64 gig memory card. Looking at the unit, it quite easily fits behind the rear view mirror and therefore is unobtrusive when installed. Let's peel the cover off that lens. I couldn't find the spec for the f-stop anywhere on Navitel's website, but I suspect it's f1.6. The display on the rear of the camera is 2-inch TFT at 320 by 240 resolution, but it's not touchscreen. Unpacking the rear camera, this one records at 1280 by 720 at 30 frames a second and has a field of view of 100 degrees. The camera is rotatable up and down, so you can adjust the view out of the rear window. There is a 3M sticky pad on the mount of the camera, so you can stick it to your window. Just check cable routing options before you attach it. Quick word of caution, make sure you mount the camera so the logo is the right way up, otherwise it records your video upside down. On the side is the connector for the included 6-meter cable and the LED. The rear camera is 1280 by 720 at 30 frames a second with a viewing angle of 100 degrees. Next up, let's unpack the main suction mount. This is a good strong mount with a universal ball and socket joint in the middle. We adjust it by adjusting this knurled ring here, adjust the camera to the angle you want, and then do up the knurled ring so it's secure. You use the suction lever mount here to secure the camera to your windscreen. The mount on the underside secures the camera to the bracket. The installation process requires you to slide the bracket into the mount on the camera. Unfortunately, it is quite fiddly, but hopefully you won't be doing it very often. Align it and then slide it in, and this locking lever here secures it in place. If you ever need to remove the camera, squeeze the trigger and then slide the camera off to the one side. This little tab here is what actually locks it in place against this edge here. Right, next up, let's take the power supply out of the bag and show you exactly what this is like. This is a standard 5V 1A power supply. Typical spring-loaded contacts on the tip and the sides. On the back it appears they've gone for an illuminated charging point rather than a USB port here, which is a shame, but there we go. And the end of the lead is a standard micro USB connector for the charging point on your dash cam. So the other lead that's in the box is this very long lead that connects the front and rear cameras together. This lead is a standard micro USB at one end, and on the other end is a 4-connection 3.5mm jack plug. There's also this useful little cable management pad here. Connection to the rear camera, just plug the micro USB into the camera like this, route the cable through the car, and then plug the jack plug into the camera like this. The power lead goes onto the top of the camera into this 5V DC connection here, and you simply plug this in here and then the other end into your cigarette lighter. One thing I had noticed is it's almost impossible to get the mount off if the power lead is still connected. Invariably this means you're going to need to unplug the unit in order to install or remove it from the mount, and then reconnect the power after the fact. It's a bit of a nuisance and could have been avoided with a little more consideration for the design, but if you're not taking the camera out that often, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. In summary, what you get in the box is the 1080p front view camera, the suction mount, the 720p rear view camera, the connection cable, the power lead, and of course, the obligatory documentation and manuals. In the car then, connecting the power supply to the cigarette lighter and plugging it in, you get the green illumination when there is power. It's a shame they didn't make that a USB port really, I think it would have been quite useful. In the car, you can see that the actual text legends for the buttons are almost impossible to see, which is a bit of a shame, especially as this 2-inch screen isn't a touch screen, so you really do need to know what the buttons do. Maybe either white text or perhaps illuminated buttons would get around this in a future version, though I appreciate at this price point you're really not going to get a touch screen. The screen seems somewhat overexposed and the colours do seem very tinted towards the blue end of the spectrum. Again, for the sort of money you're paying for this camera, you are getting a full 1080p with a 720p rear view camera thrown in as well. This means it really isn't in the same league as the 522, as it's substantially cheaper. With the 522, unless you buy the bundle that includes the rear camera, then you don't get one. The RC2 Dual includes this 1280 by 720 at 30 frames a second rear view camera, which has a 100-degree viewing angle. Just make sure you mount it with the Navitel logo the correct way up, otherwise the images will be upside down on your SD card. Mounting is straightforward, but unfortunately there is only one 3M sticker attached to the rear view camera. There is no spare in the box. Now it's all wired up, let's go and take it for a spin and let's see what sort of images we get compared to the Nextbase 522. So here's a challenging bit of contrast. Bright sun in the sky, road ahead. Let's see how the two cameras compare looking at the bright sun and the darker road. Do a direct comparison.
After 1.8 miles, take the exit 3B.
Here again, sun low in the sky. Challenging video for any camera. The RC2 Dual copes quite well. The only thing I would say is the picture looks as though it has a bit of a blue tint to it, a much sort of cooler vibe than the more natural Nextbase 522. Another stretch of dual carriageway. It's a bit shaded, but let's just see if we can read a number plate, for example. Let's try that car. So this is where the picture was taken, and what we'll do is we'll zoom in, and whilst it is readable on the RC2, it's not as clear as the Nextbase. RC2 dual carriageway, so let's see what the road noise and my voice sounds like on the Nextbase 522, my existing camera. And now let's switch to the RC2 dual. Let's see what it sounds like on this camera. Which do you think is better? Here's a much quieter stretch of tarmac. Let's see what my voice sounds like now on both cameras, so you can see what the difference is now that we're not on a noisy concrete type surface. The road noise is much less pronounced here. Hopefully the microphones are picking my voice up a bit better. There's a noticeable difference in the sound quality between these two cameras, but given their price differential, that's not really a surprise. Okay, let's try another number plate challenge, now in sunlight. Not brilliant, barely readable. Now that we get a bit closer, let's try that again. Now it's perfectly readable. Unlike the Nextbase 522, which has an optional rear view camera, the RC2 Dual actually includes this 720p camera as standard. On the front, you get Full HD 1080p, which under most circumstances will be perfectly adequate for everyday use. The Navitel RC2 Dual is currently just £66 on Amazon, so well worth a buy. For comparison, the Nextbase 522 that I use is £190 for this bundle, nearly 3 times the price. Ultimately, what you get is a Full HD 1080p camera with a 720p rear view camera as a bundle. Whilst the microphone is a bit lacking, to be honest, the video quality is not bad for the money. In this price bracket, you don't get GPS and you only get a 2-inch screen, which isn't touch sensitive. It has a shock sensor and motion detection, so it will capture anything that happens in the car park whilst you're gone, and it comes with a 2-year warranty. If you don't have a dash cam, the RC2 Dual is well worth your consideration. As regular viewers of my channel will know, I give away any products that are sent to me to review, so here's your chance to win the Navitel RC2 Dual. Simply comment as to why you want to win this camera, and you could find it winging its way to you in the very near future. Winner will be drawn at random in a few weeks. Good luck!